Welcome, everyone, to the Q&A session for our upcoming course, The Power of Prayer. I'm Lisa Bunnies, and it's my honor to be hosting this Q&A conversation for the Shift Network, where we'll explore the teachings of Grandmother Flordemayo and address questions about her upcoming 7-week course, The Power of Prayer, which begins Wednesday, January 23rd. Later, I'll explain how you can participate in this course, even if you can't attend the live sessions, but first, I want to introduce our guest. Grandmother Flordemayo was born and raised in the highlands of Central America in a family of Mayan healers, where her mother was a midwife. Flordemayo was a founding member of the Church of the Spiritual Path, the Confederation of Indigenous Elders of the Americas, the Institute of Natural and Traditional Knowledge, and the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. Flordemayo also founded The Path, a 501c3 organization whose mission is to preserve and distribute seeds for future generations. She travels the globe to share her healings and to foster a more spiritual understanding among humanity. And in just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions. But first, I want to welcome Grandmother Flordemayo to the call, who will begin by leading us in an opening prayer. Welcome, Grandmother Flordemayo. It's a pleasure to see you today.
Thank you so very much. It's a great honor to be here today. Thank you so much. Beloved Creator, beloved Mother, Mother, Father, Giver of life. Thank you, beloved grandmothers of the 4 directions. Thank you, Spirit of the 4 sacred elements, beloved Creator, the Spirit of the fire, Spirit of the wind, Spirit of the water, Spirit of the earth, beloved Creator. We are children of these sacred elements. On this sacred day, beloved Creator, of 12th Tihash, it is that day in our community, in our lands, with all of the people that study and work with the Mayan calendar on this particular day. Beloved Creator, I ask of you that on this blessed day in which you have shown us that if we have things that are perhaps maybe they're heavy in our hearts or in our minds, that this is a day in which we can bring these things to the prayer and to allow the energy of the day to bring them into the light, to sever them from them being attached to us mentally, physically, emotionally, to remove them. We ask of you, beloved Mother, to guide us and to move us through this so that we can move through the light without any heaviness, without any burdens, without anything that is hindering us from our sacred walk. This walk that we walk one-on-one with you, beloved Creator, because you are the center of the universe. And the universe is where we are. All of us children, the humans, the animals, the plant life, all of those animals that live in the ocean, and all of those that fly. We're here all together in this beautiful, beautiful spot of eternity, moving, walking, breathing, beloved Creator, around you, receiving your blessings on an ongoing basis. Thank you, beloved beauty of the sacred moment, for allowing us to be here together, each and every one of us, in the 4 directions. I ask for your blessings on this sacred day, and I ask of you to lighten our hearts and our minds, our bodies, beloved Creator. Thank you for the beauty that you bring to us on a daily moment, on a moment-to-moment basis, beloved Mother. And I also ask for healing, not only for us humans, but healing for the animals, healing for the plants, and healing across the earth to all the different countries and everyone that would need this specific healing. Beloved Creator, thank you for all the care that you give to us. And all we need to do is to call your name and to ask of you for your help. Thank you for that, beloved Mother. Let it be so. Thank you for listening to us, and thank you to each and every one of you. Much blessings to you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Flordemayo. So now we have the rest of our time together. Now that we've overcome the technology hurdles and all of that, we can go ahead and have a great conversation. We can dive into your questions as we prepare for her upcoming course. Again, that's called The Power of Prayer, and it begins Wednesday, January 23rd. And if you want to check out the website and learn more about the 7-week course, you can visit FlordemayoPowerOfPrayer.com to see the full description. So let's go ahead and get started with questions. If you have a question for Grandmother Flordemayo, go ahead and type them in and I'll be happy to read them out loud. And we've already got some questions waiting for us, so let's go ahead and take one of those. We've got a question here from Jan, who said, I've heard that emotion is our prayer. Can you explain the how and why, or if this even is a part of our prayers?
Okay, let me understand what the word is. Is the word emotion or motion?
Emotion.
Okay, emotion. Okay, so the question is, she is asking if emotion is a way of prayer.
Yes.
Okay. I would have to say that I agree with that, because when we are in that need, and the need is when we want to have that one-on-one conversation with our Creator, we are in that state of emotion. And so it is through this dialogue that we clear the way with everything that we can express, whether it's body posture, crying, shouting, raising our voice, crying, all of these things. You are in the moment of sheer expression. And so this breaks the ice, and it breaks your momentum to move into that dialogue. So I would have to agree with that. I know that I do, because I become very emotional. I become I share every physical emotion when I see something that is of that invisible realm, of that knowing that I am seeing and feeling something that is so close to the highest source that it takes me into that place of emotion. So I agree with that.
Okay, thank you for that. We've actually got a lot of people asking a similar question, so let me just sort of summarize it. People are asking about, you've heard the expression that sometimes the best answer to a prayer is an unanswered prayer, where you don't necessarily get what you pray for. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you know if you're asking for the right things?
That's a really, really good question. I think that what is a good idea is to think about what it is that you are asking. Because many times if we are asking, let's say for example, I'm asking for I'm asking for prayers for my body, okay? I would ask more of in a general way and say to the beloved Creator, there are many people around me that are in need of physical help. And then I would go through my list. I sometimes have a list, or I remember people that have sent me email, whether they are here in New Mexico, another state, or another country. And I call these people's names and I call the countries out and I ask the beloved if to please, and I would not use the word if, I would say please, beloved Creator, I would like to direct these healing thoughts and healing prayers to all of these people that have sent the request. And what I would do for myself is at the end, and I would ask, and beloved Creator, and also I am asking for myself, perhaps maybe my family. I have family members that are in need of some physical help, and then I would ask also for my family. But I would direct it out in the open first, and then make it into like a circle and come back to myself. And then I would close it by thanking, all of the people that have received this sacred healing. It is only the way that I've been shown to do that. And that would be probably the way that I would do it. Of course, we can try different things because, we're all individual. And I would say, try it in the way that best works for you. I don't think that there is anything that is set in stone about when it comes to prayers. I feel that, the more that we do it and the more that we share and the more that we're constantly moving that healing energy, that it's the best way to do it.
Okay, thank you. And then that leads to a follow-up question. This is from Cheryl, who's asking, how do I know when my prayer is being answered? And again, other people are asking a similar thing, so let me elaborate a little bit. It's like, how do you know, I guess, when to stop asking for something that is about to become one of those unanswered prayers? How do you know when to stop pushing it and allow for the answer to come?
I have to be very honest with everybody. You're not going to get an instant answer. It's not the way that it works. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of devotion, a lot of positive thinking, and you do get an answer. You definitely get an answer. If we just allow ourselves to go into that place, and even in the prayer, just asking and saying, beloved Mother, just show me the way. Show me what it is that you want me to do. Show me and give me an answer. And keep putting it into that into the pool of prayer. Every time we say prayers, it's like dropping a little drop of water in the bucket. And then the bucket gets to a certain depth of water. And then the magic happens. So we have to prepare ourselves for when the answer to the prayer comes back. The thing is not to give up, because there's no such thing as it's going to happen in 24 hours. It's going to happen in 3 days. I have done prayers for, weeks, months, and years. And eventually I get an answer. But when I do get the answer, it's the most exhilarating feeling that you can have, because you know that that it has happened through the power of prayer. That is all that we have, is to pray. That's all that we have at the end of everything that we go through. That is all that we have, is the prayer, and we have to keep it up.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, we've got another question here that's sort of calling back to the conversation that you had with Stephen Dinan, where you talked about calling on the ancestors. And this is an anonymous question. It says, is there a ritual that you might share to call on the ancestors?
I can't say that, sometimes I think about the way that we see things in the Western world about ritual, and the way that we do things in Central America. And the way that we do it in Central America is very simple. And we do it in the moment. And whatever you're guided to do in the moment is what you do. You have to be open to the moment of all possibilities. So I can't say to one person, what ritual do I do? Because the possibilities are infinite. I would say to the person that's asking the question to be very, very honest with themselves, and to do what they feel is a natural feeling and way of expressing themselves in front of their creator. For me, many times is just holding an image of one of my ancestors, or holding a word in my mind that's very, very dear to me, to get me to that point. So we have to find a way. There's just so many ways. You could use the elements, the water, the fire. You can use your sacred breath, taking something, the prayer, putting it in your breath, extending your hands out into the universe, and just saying to the beloved mother, receive it, beloved mother. I'm sending this to you. Help us. Because it's always about us. We're praying for somebody else all the time. And of course, you come back to yourself. When you come back to yourself, you embrace yourself. Embrace yourself, loving yourself. The thing is, the sincerity, the sincerity of what is it that you're praying for. There are, for example, certain mechanical things that and tangible things that can be put in an altar. Let's say, for example, you're financially stressed, and there's no other way of saying it other than, beloved mother, I need money. I mean, that's the simple prayer. Beloved mother, I need money. So I will share with you, you can build a tangible, I'm trying to think of the word here, a vessel, okay? Seawater is very, very helpful to put in a vessel. When you are building something for the altar that you need for prosperity, I mean, maybe 90% of us are not near the ocean, but you can get some tap water, you can put some salt in it, you can taste it and see how much salt it has, you can prepare it, get into it, start praying about it. If you can, put some, the two things that we should all have in our houses are little stones from the ocean and little tiny little seashells from the ocean. And you take these tiny little items and you put it into this tiny, tiny little ocean piece that you're building. And you ask the mother waters, around the globe, around all of the ocean waters. And you ask her to bless you with abundance, that you are in need of this abundance. Perhaps you need it for something that is of a medical need. We don't know what our needs are, but they sometimes are, huge, and they're great, great needs. I have done this many times, not only for myself, but for family members, and I have advised people, if you can get a white little container to put your salt water, make your salt water, get these little items, even if it's one little rock from the ocean and one little seashell. But you keep that. We need something very tangible as humans. If this is what I'm being asked through ritual, then we make something. We put something together and we bring it into the altar. Where would your altar of prosperity be? I'll tell you where it is. You put it in front of your door. Your door, when you come into the house, you put it in front of the door, either outside or inside where it is facing the door, because when you open the door to the world, and anything that's going to come to you has to come through that door. We have to be positive about when we ask for something. We have to keep it in mind, keep the prayer going, 24/7, going. We don't stop. Of course, we have to eat. We do every daily stuff, but we have it in our minds. And so what we're doing is we're strengthening the prayer. The prayer is strengthened constantly. And then when you receive what you have received, then you pay in gratitude. You bring something to the altar, and you can bring to the altar something that is living, like a plant, like flowers. And that's the gratitude. And you could also bring in small coins from that abundance that you received. And you can start in that little container. You can put some pennies and some nickels and some dimes and continue with the prayer so that you can, continue with that abundance. But that is something that I can share and something that I can say it does work. You can't put a timeline on it because everything happens in its own time. But it works. And so I am sharing that because it is something that I do.
Wow, that was very helpful. Thank you for that. For those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Grandmother Flordemayo learning about her upcoming course, The Power of Prayer, which begins Wednesday, January 23rd. You can log on to FlordemayoPowerofPrayer.com for all the details and to register. Let's go ahead and get back to some questions here. We've got a sort of a follow-up. That was a question about ancestors. Sheila's wondering, if we banish spirits from our home, would that cause our ancestors to leave as well? I'm burdened with guilt and fear that I've hurt them.
No, because our ancestors are always with us. They're always there protecting us. But if there are some, let's say spirits that are just, for whatever reason, lingering on the land or lingering in the house, you can clean your house, but not to worry about the ancestors. In fact, it's always a good idea to refresh your altar, to clean it up and change ancestral photographs. If you don't have any, you can write down ancestors on a piece of paper and tack that into your altar. Because not all of us, can go much further than a few generations in front of us, and say, your grandmother and your great grandma may be much more than that. We don't know, So it's always a good idea to have these words written down. Let's say, for example, the people that call me and write to me about healing, I have this little card that I've written down healing, and I put them underneath it. And then I put the spirit of the fire on top of it, the candle on top of that. But, that little area, I know that it is for the people that need healing. So when I see the fire in my altar, I reinforce it and say to the beloved mother, I'm, resending those prayers, to all of those people. In the beginning, I start with their names, with where they're from, the prayers that they need for what reason. But then I reinforce it. I don't have to go through the whole thing. I just say, beloved mother, I'm reinforcing my prayers right here on the healing table. Thank you so very much. We always give thanks. So for me, I always have a candle on in my altar, and I always have living flowers or living plant on the altar. When I don't have it, I make a point to go out into the store and get it. That day I very rarely allow myself to go without.
Right. So there's always something active on the altar, whether it's a flame or a plant, some sort of life going on there. We've actually got a lot of people asking about doing healing prayers for themselves and for family members. I wonder if you could sort of just give a basic instruction on how to begin that, because you're sort of talking about what you do after you've already started that, how to keep it alive. But how do you begin working on healing prayers?
The best way is to get yourself in a comfortable place. It all depends on the type of person that you are. Okay, basically for me, the best place is to lay down flat. And the reason that I love to do that is because when I start doing some self-healing on myself, I have the capacity to go very quickly, very deep. And I don't want to be sitting down, with wooden tables around me, where I'm going to put myself in a situation where, I could fall, So I'm always cautious about, and know myself. And so I lay down flat. I start thinking about the power of the Creator, and I envision the light of the heavens and the light of the earth. And I move both lights through my body, coming from the heavens. We say in Central America, the heart of the heavens, allowing it to go through the crown, and the heart of the earth, this light that's full of magnetism, allowing it to go through the ball of the feet and having it come down and have it meet in the center of the body. And then just stay with it and feel it, moving. You just keep moving it from the heavens and the earth through your body. We have 13 sacred centers in our bodies. The two ankles, the two knees, the two wrists, the two hips, the two elbows, the two shoulders. And number 13 is right here. And so if we think of those 13 centers as we're moving the light throughout our body, what we are doing is we are clearing anything that doesn't belong there. And it's like envisioning a glass tube, let's say, for example, that has these 13 centers, and you're shooting water not only on the bottom end, but on the top end. And somehow the water is going to go through there and clean everything out and move it. And when it is done, because you'll feel much lighter, whether it's 3 minutes later, 30 minutes later, an hour later, it doesn't matter. But as long as you take the time and not have an agenda. In other words, you can't say, okay, I'm going to do this for 30 minutes because that's all I have, okay? Which is kind of like okay, but you want to allow, the energies to move through you and to go through the whole process that they need to go through. Sometimes it takes many before you actually start getting the proper healing. Many sit downs is what I'm trying to say. So we have to be patient. We have to be patient, and we have to trust.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, that again brings up another question from somebody here. Again, an anonymous question, who's asking, how do I get past being afraid of faith itself? Because what you're talking about here is that you do have to have faith that what you're doing is actually working. And I can see how somebody would be afraid of faith because what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? So how do you address just the topic of faith?
Well, here's the way that I look at it. The way that I see fate and faith, both, I start thinking about the cycles in nature, looking out the window. There's all of these things that are going on that we see during the day, okay? There are all of these things that go on in between the seasons. These things are happening in this living, breathing planet. So I see myself as these elements of life live through my body, the water, the fire, the air, the earth. And if I am the same as all of nature, then I know that I also go through these cycles. So I feel assured because I put myself in that position as being the same as all living on the planet. And so we can't say, oh, I don't think the winter is going to happen this winter. You know, of course it is. The cycle is coming, you know, or, you know, I don't know if really the spring is going to come because I don't know if I really believe in the spring. Well, you know, the spring's going to come because, you know, the weather's going to change. Everything's going to start to bloom. And, you know, why wouldn't it come? So that's an assurance that we have, you know? So when we think of healing and when we think of prayer, we also think of nature. We can't separate ourselves from nature. How do we find God? It's in nature. That's where God is. That's our confirmation of God. If you go to Central America and you talk to the indigenous people in Central America, and you say, how do you know that there is a God? And the biggest thing you're going to hear is, because we are here, we're speaking to each other, because we're sitting under the canopy of the heavens, we're breathing the air, the sun is shining upon us, we're standing on the earth, and we're breathing the air. This is how I know that there is a God. I don't think it has to be too complicated. Of course, you know, there's all this beautiful, beautiful dance that happens, you know, in the midst of all of this. And so as soon as we let go of all these, you know, what ifs, okay? You know, then the beautiful sacred dances, you know, happened. And the dances are between yourself and those holy ones that live in these multiple dimensions. Because we're human beings, we're physical beings, but we are also children of the light. And our light body has the capacity to move. It's an eternal light. And it moves throughout the eons. And we are made of also this body. And it is through this body that we do a lot of what, you know, this out-of-body stuff. So there's a lot that can happen.
Right. Wow. Well, that was just a fantastic response. Thank you so much for that. Looking at the clock here, we have time for a few more questions. But before we take those, I want to give a few details about the course itself. Again, it's called The Power of Prayer. And this is going to be a truly powerful 7-week journey under Grandmother Flordemayo's expert guidance, where you'll discover how you can become a vehicle for greater healing in your community and the world through your prayer practice. And the 7-week course takes place on Wednesdays at noon Pacific, starting Wednesday, January 23rd. And if for any reason you can't join us live, that's fine. You won't miss the teachings. You'll receive audio and video recordings, transcripts, and all course handouts on your course homepage. Also, I'd like to remind you that the Shift Network offers a no-risk money-back guarantee on all of our courses, giving you a full 2 weeks until February 6th in this case to make sure that you absolutely love it. We want you to be happy. As an added option, all participants are welcome to connect in a private Facebook community group so you can stay connected with one another. Also, everyone who registers receives the Power of Prayer bonus collection. First, you'll receive an audio prayer from Grandmother Flordemayo and Imani entitled A Prayer for Humanity. Next, you'll get an audio meditation from Grandmother Flordemayo with Jerry Littlejohn on flute called A Meditation for Humanity. Then you'll receive another audio recording from Grandmother Flordemayo, and this one's entitled Meditation and Vision of Light. You'll also receive an audio reading from Flordemayo called Cathar Creed. And you'll also get an audio meditation from Grandmother Flordemayo entitled Meditations for the Soul. And when you register by tonight, Thursday, January 17th, by midnight Pacific, you'll receive an additional bonus gift, and that is selected video and audio recordings from the Shamanism Global Summit 2018. And those are the top 5 Shamanism Global Summit recordings. Good stuff. So before we get back into questions, Grandmother, let me ask you, what are you most looking forward to sharing in your upcoming course?
Exactly that we don't have to think too much. I feel that at this particular time in our existence, we are in a rush. We want to do everything in a hurry. We can't wait. We don't feel like we can sit down and do very much. And I want to show you and show everybody that the prayer doesn't have to be so complicated. You have to have the desire. Because when we have the desire, then we allow ourselves to experience. And the experience is beyond possibilities because we're all so different. We're just so incredibly different. And it doesn't matter what it is that we believe in the sense that as long as we put those prayers towards how we believe it, where is our personal strength. And so it doesn't have to be so complicated, because I come from a place of simpleness. You know, my language is simple. What I do is very simple. I don't have anything that's very complicated. I can't memorize anything that's complicated. The wisdom that comes out of me is from experience and life experiences, and also from practicing in silence. But I'm not saying that, that you have to do what I'm doing. What I'm doing right now is has to do a lot with my age. I've raised my family. I've raised my grandchildren. We're retired. I have a lot of time in my day and in my evening. I don't have a time to go to bed. I don't have a time to wake up. For example, this morning I woke up at 1 o'clock. And I wake up, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. This past Monday, I had incredible visions. And the visions were of I'm thinking of the word here of landslides and a lot of rain and a lot of mud moving. And so when I see these things that are going around the globe, or here in the United States, or here in my own state, you know, I don't know where it is happening. But I go into prayer. I go into prayer and I put the help out. And I see myself going into these places and helping as if my physical body is there. Of course, it is not. I'm in, you know, it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning in my house. But when I see these things, I put myself out to help and to give strength to the prayer, because the earth, whatever it is that she's going through with all of these changes that are going on right now, whether they're natural or man-made disasters, they need the strength of prayer. The earth is a living, breathing planet. Of course she needs prayer. And so I do this because it's my obligation. I love to pray. I feel connected when I pray. But when we pray, we're not necessarily praying for, you know, beautiful, happy things. A lot of the times is, you know, we have to get that into that mindset that everything of our existence is like the cycles of life. You know, we go through, you know, periods of heavy rain, heavy snow, heavy wind. And then, you know, then everything settles down and we have a nice, beautiful, sunshiny day. So we have to be prepared for all of these changes in the different elements. Life is like that every day, every night, whether it's our existence as humans in our homes. It doesn't matter. There's always something coming up that's going to jostle us. And how do we bring ourselves back into that alignment? It's a constant chore. It's not like it's going to go away, you know? Mm-hmm. We're not existing in a perfect island with nothing happening but, you know, but sweet sunshine, you know?
Right.
It's not like that. Yeah. So I say, you know, the more people that we have around the globe, you know, praying, the better it is for everyone.
Right. Agreed. And that, again, everything you say brings us into another question here. Let's do one last question here from Alex, who wants to know, what's the difference between prayer and meditation?
That's a really good question. You know, I don't use too much the word meditation. I always say prayer. You know, for me, behind the prayer is the action. You know, what is it that you're praying for, and what exactly is your action? You know, let's say, for example, if you are trying to think here, if you are praying towards you know, receiving a friend that's coming to your home, okay? If you're in the middle of that, okay, what would be the action? The action would be that you're preparing a room for your friend. You're preparing, you're in the midst of preparation, and you are perhaps maybe getting some flowers for their room, perhaps maybe getting all kinds of necessities for receiving your friend. So, you know, we go into this prayer of our friend, but then we have to act on it. What are we going to do? We're going to clean the house. We're going to prepare things, okay? But when I'm sitting down and I'm meditating on something, I'm not usually doing any action about it. I'm not doing that, you know? So maybe I can explain it like that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much. Wow, looking at the clock here, we are about out of time. And this has just been such a delightful hour. I want to thank our viewers for being with us today and for all of your questions. Once again, the Power of Prayer starts Wednesday, January 23rd. And again, you can visit FloridaMayoPowerOfPrayer.com to learn more and to register. So before we go, Grandmother Flordemayo, do you have any final words for our viewers?
I just want to encourage everybody to make an effort, you know, with your prayers. You know, take what we learned in this hour and apply it. You know, always remember that with the prayer, there's the action. That's one thing that I received in the teachings of being with His Holiness, with the Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. And I love that, because we can't pray without the action. That's for sure. Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you once again, Grandmother Flordemayo. It's been an absolute delight speaking with you today. And once again, thank you to everyone who joined us. On behalf of everyone at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or perhaps another one in the future. Have a great day, everyone.